Under Cash's words, we're starting now.
Yeah. Uh, Updates on Chris and Henry and Joachim?
I'll start with Joachim. Fantastic to have him back on the field. We have limited him this week, but built up, and he got through a session today. I don't want to say that means he's going to play on Saturday, but it's really nice to see him back and being able to progress on the field and now get through a full session and be available. With Kess, he has to follow through this concussion protocol, which he's doing great so far and has met all the steps. The major one is this afternoon. And if he clears that, then he can come back into training tomorrow and be available for Saturday. Durkin is a little bit more questionable just because it's a matter of whether this knock in his knee, whether the inflammation has calmed down to a degree that it's safe for him to be available. And I'm just going to be cautious with him because of where we are and the whole situation. I don't want to put a player in harm's way for no reason.
As you look at these last few games, are there young guys that you want to see in this situation? I know you talked about having to earn minutes, but there are guys who you need to, who maybe have earned it to a point, but still you have to see how they do in first team situations.
I'm just trying to be careful of how I answer this because I'm hoping that you can appreciate, not just you, but kind of everybody can appreciate the situation we're in. I'm an interim head coach. I'm trying to earn the job full time. The best way to do that is to win a soccer game. And at the same time, I'm trying to develop young players and give guys minutes. And I'm trying to bring back veteran players and, get them healthy to finish the year strong and build a team which can have momentum going into next year, which we all feel really good about. It's just a long-winded way of saying that I have to make some really hard decisions, and it's not going to be easy, and I'm not going to try to prioritize one over the other. I'm just going to try to take all of those decisions and do what's best for the collective group.
Yeah.
Thinking about San Jose this coming weekend, how do you feel about playing them a second time as your second time as head coach? They were the first team that you obviously played and beat. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it helps me because I have a little bit more familiarity with them. They've been pretty consistent about the way they play. I watched their game last night against Seattle, really impressed with just their spirit. I thought they could have, for a team where they sit, very similar to us, that they don't look like a team that should be last in the West right now. And they certainly didn't play that way. So they have a lot of fight left in them. And there's some guys there, like Nico Shakaris is a young player that I've known for a long time. I think he's no, I'm not even going to try to guess what number he is. But my point is, he's a really good player. He's captain of the under-20s. They have some excellent, older players. So this is not a team that we can take lightly. We need to give them our full respect, the same way we would the Galaxy, same way we will LAFC or whoever it is. And we just have to focus on us because we believe that we are a much better team than our current record indicates. And the only thing we have to really do left in the regular season games is to go out and make sure that we show everyone that we are what we say we are.
Is part of that trying to get an away win in MLS? Do you view
Absolutely.
this as an extra incentive to win?
Yeah, this is a blemish for sure that we haven't won on the road. And let me just tell you, I'm not making this up. Every player in that locker room wants to win an away game. And it's so close. We were so close in a couple instances recently that it is a huge motivator for us.
Tom Schwartz.
This is kind of a speculative question. It's about early subbing. Do you ever have a moment early in a game where I know you've had to make decision about who's going to start uh, based on the week's performance. But do you ever have a moment, have you ever had early in a game where you see how the guy is actually playing as opposed to how you thought he was going to play, and you think, oh my God, he just doesn't have it today? What's your next step then?
All right, this is a big philosophical, answer, but I think it's really important. And this is in particular important to any youth coach out there, any high school coach. As a coach, once you pick a starting team, my philosophy is that you should let that happen until halftime. You've made the choice. You've worked really hard. It's a player-centric game. Give that player the opportunity to succeed or fail, at least until halftime, especially with the idea that you only have 3 moments in a game as a professional coach or a national team coach, or like college coaches now have 6 opportunities to change. My point is that when, as a coach, you make a decision to start a player, you need to hold yourself accountable and responsible for allowing that player to have success or failure no matter what happens. And I do the same thing. I literally do the same thing as a professional coach in City Park, because I don't think it's right to sub a player in the first half unless it's an injury.
So,
So no, I wouldn't do it.
so
Or I try very hard not to.
you have to have full belief in the uh, importance of the player, almost as opposed to the importance of the game, because you can lose a game in the first half.
That's the essence of being a good coach, though. Prepare your players really well so that they can succeed in a half of soccer. Build it so that they can be on that field for the first whistle to the next, that last whistle being the halftime or the end of the game. That's the job of a coach. So I know we're getting off, in a philosophical, but it is a really important question, Tom, and one that I take super seriously. If I make a decision to play Hope over here and, he's going 45, all right, you got that? He's going to be like, later, but that's just something that I believe in. I hope the youth coaches out there take it to heart, that it is part of player development, and you cannot develop without having time on the field to succeed and fail.
Um, he's in the room, but how is Rasmus's comeback? How good has it been to have Rasmus back in the lineup?
It's super nice. My nickname for him is Hope. It comes from preseason when, I saw in his eyes he was injured and he was struggling, and we just had a talk, and I was like, you just got to hold on to hope, and he does. Like, he epitomizes that. So I walk in every day and I say, how you doing, Hope? And it's because he approaches the game in a way and has dealt with so much adversity so far this year. I have a ton of respect for the way he goes about his job. He always tells me, hey, wherever you need me, that's what I'll do. Like, that's a pretty exceptional pro. And so having him back and having him healthy, ready to go do whatever he's asked to do, and knowing that he'll do whatever that is really a absolute pleasure to have as a coach and a relationship with a player.
So he does spring eternal.
I don't know if I would go that far, but
With the new players that have come in, do you have different ways to use him now, or?
yeah, I mean, he's versatile enough that, I already have, like on last Saturday night, I literally tried to play him like as this version of a right wing back. And it's not perfect for him, but he'll do what we ask him. And it's not without making some mistakes too. I'll give you an example. Hope you don't mind me saying this, but like, he makes a bad decision to play a ball, and his reaction was so good that he wins it back. We get a foul, and all of a sudden he springs, SETI on a run that turns out to be a great chance for Nukvi. and that would have gone to, that would have put us back in a position. Like that's just indicative of the kind of player he is, that it's a game of mistakes. He just gets on with the next one. And because of his versatility and the tools that he brings, it gives a coach a lot of different ways that we can utilize him.
Next we'll go to John Lupo.
John, I hear it. Cedric is really productive for his first 5 games with the club. Can you just talk about what he brings to the team, and as you try and obviously finish the season strong, how you see his role on the team next year?
He is a player that is like in between being an attacking midfielder and being an out and out 9. So I've used the phrase before, 9.5. He's a 9.5. That gives us some mobility in the attack. It allows us to have, him find space where he can find the ball and then either, assist and provide the penetrating pass for somebody else, or to take it himself and be a goal scorer. He's certainly done a fantastic job of both of those areas for us since arriving. And I think he is going to be a critical part of this team next year going forward, however we utilize him.
Go back to Matt.
Coach, can you talk a bit about Jake Erdwood-Reich, how you see his role this weekend, either with or without one of Kessler or Durkin? Do you see him better as a defensive midfielder or center back, or is it kind of wherever he's needed?
It's a really good question because I'm not sure yet. He's a young player. He's 19 years old. He shows so much potential, but I don't want to put him in a position to, where our expectation of him is too much. So, I'm glad he got on the field for 45 minutes last Saturday. It was a very difficult situation to be in. He did some excellent things, but he also made some mistakes. So I think you see that, he's still a young player that we need to invest in and develop over time. We don't have to rush, to your first question, Tom. Like he's a player that I'm really thinking about. How do I utilize him enough without putting him in a position that is unfair to his own development? How do I put him in a position where he can thrive and he can take that next step forward? Very difficult decisions to make when you're trying to also win a soccer game.
We'll wrap up with Tom Schwartz.
Okay, this is another question I've been trying to figure out how to ask.
I'm just shaking my head because every time you get a mic, I'm thinking, what is he going to ask next?
Okay, here we go.
All right.
So in basketball, if you're playing a team that has a star player, right, especially at lower divisions, but maybe even in the NBA, they'll go into what's called a box and one, right? Where one guy is constantly on the star or the marked man. Do you ever do that in soccer? Do you ever see
Yes.
Okay, great.
I was really fortunate as a young person. One of the first jobs I've ever had, I was a physical therapist aide at Wake Forest, and I was in this little office above where the varsity basketball team practiced. And I had this, it used to be the scorekeeper's like little closet. Okay. But it had this aluminum sliding window that if you opened it, you could watch the varsity team train. And at the time, the head coach at Wake was this guy, Dave Odom. And I watched him and learned so much about like the box and one zone, going man to man and how they switched, a 2-3. And a lot of that is applicable to soccer. It's obviously with double the number of field players, but it's really interesting how, a lot of sports have similarities. And so, yes, I've done that numerous times. The last time I probably did it was when I was a head coach in Philly. We played Sporting Kansas City. We had a tactical scheme that was similar to that.
So one guy just kind of stays, shadows the
Yep.
star
Yep.
during the entire game. I've
Yep.
always wanted, thank you. I've always wondered that.
Yep. All right, thanks.
Go ahead, Tom.
Erasmus.
Hi.
So how are you feeling? How's the return to play been going for you?
It feels good. I mean, the body feels good, and he feels good. So yeah, I feel really good.
As good as you have since you've been here or within the last year? I mean, because you've had a lot of,
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get into a rhythm. Like when I started the preseason, I was injured and I played 10 or something games, and then yeah, the knee injury came, so it has been like not in a rhythm, in a flow. So it's hard to stay in that rhythm. But yeah, I try to do my best, and every time I get the chance to be on the field, I try to yeah put the work in, and yeah, it feels good.
what do these last 5 games mean for you? The playoffs are gone. So what do you look for out of these games?
No, but I mean, yeah, the playoffs is more or less gone, but I mean, you always want to win games, and even though if it's a friendly game or if it's these 5 games, you always want to win. And also now, like we have a bunch of new guys that I haven't had a lot of time with. That like you have to start making the relationships better, and that's preparing for next year. And yeah, I think we have a lot to play for in these 5 games.
Daniel?
Excuse me, sorry. Rasmus, coach mentioned the importance of winning on the road, and he said that every single player in the locker room wants to win on the road. I'm just curious your thoughts on why that's so important.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel that on every game, even if it's on a home game or an away game. I always want to win, and as a soccer player, you don't want to go on a away game and have the feeling that okay, it doesn't matter what happens today. You want to win every game you play, even in trainings. You want to win. So I think yeah, it's been a tough season. We're still chasing the first away win. So I think we have to go even harder this weekend, and hopefully we can get the first one.
Matt?
Rasmus, does it feel like there's an increased competition for spots since coming back from your injury? Obviously, the roster's been bolstered. How do you handle that increased level of competition?
Uh, yeah, how should I answer this? I mean, I think even when I played in Sweden, we had a lot of competition on about places, and I've never seen it as competition. I seen it more as we try to help each other to get better. And I mean, even though if you're not starting, you're still a part of the team. So I think everybody is really important. And so I feel like it's to get, let's say now all the German guys that has Bundesliga experience and what like they have a lot of experience that I haven't. So you try to learn and try to see how they play the game, and yeah, and you try to learn every day. So I think it's more of an helping each other moment than a competition. But yeah, of course it's a competition as well because everybody wants to play. But yeah.
Is there anything else that the players have to do to kind of get psyched up for this last few games? You mentioned playoffs are probably out of reach. So are there different goals that you shoot for? How do you approach these final games?
I mean, I think it's the same as I said before. Like when we play games, we want to win games, and I think it doesn't matter if it's a 11v11 on a Wednesday morning here against each other. We want to win. So I think that's just how you have to approach every game, even though it's the start of the season or now when we have 5 games to go. I think yeah, that's the way to go at it.
Tom Schwartz?
What did you learn about yourself as a player during your injury recovery days?
Uh, I mean, yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, you try to think about what you could have done better when you played, but I think also especially this injury I had now was just such a short time after the first one. So it was more a mental progress that you had to go through. Like I was so devastated when that happened, and to know that you have to be out again, and the only thing you want to is to play. So I think it's more of a mental thing you have to go through, and I had some tough moments there with a setback and all this, but yeah, I'm sitting here today and I feel really good and happy to be able to even just be out practicing with the guys. So
And what is your nickname that the coach has given you? Hope. What's that mean to you?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's from preseason, and yeah, that was also after the surgery I did, and it feels like, yeah, the return to play was kind of just staying in the same line. So I was both, yeah, I was hopeful to get back, but I was also feeling like like I couldn't see the end line. So I think he also tried to keep me in a good mindset and keep pushing. And yeah, I think, yeah, he made up that name and he said it every day since then. So yeah,
You like it?
I don't mind it, but yeah.
Since you've been doing rehab, you've seen a lot of Joachim. What's this year been like for him coming back from the repeated hamstrings and everything he's gone through?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the same feeling that I had, that when you finally come back and something happens, you can't put it into words how you feel. I mean, when I walked out in Miami that game, when I injured my knee, there was like, I could barely talk. I was just in the locker room almost, yeah, I was crying, and I bet he feels the same as I did. But there is always, you will always get out of it, and you have to stay strong and have to keep on working, because at the end of the day, you will find the moment where you finally are out there and practicing and feel healthy, and then the struggle is gone, more or less.
And he was saying he felt the joy
Yeah,
come back.
yeah. Just to be a part of a passing drill is amazing when you have been out for 3 months. So yeah.
How do you say hope in Swedish?
How do you say hope? Oh, that's a hope. Uh, yeah, I can't say it right away. I have to look it up for you.
Apparently not much hope in Sweden.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I think there's different words to use it,
Yeah.
so I can't just say like the exact one. So yeah, I'll get it to you.